My sorrow when she's here with me thinks these dark days of autumn rain are beautiful as days can be. She loves the bare, the withered tree. She walks the sodden pasture lane. Her pleasure will not let me stay. She talks and I am fain to list. She's glad the birds have gone away. She's glad her simple worsted gray is silver now with clinging mist. The desolate, deserted trees, the faded earth, the heavy sky, the beauties she so truly sees. She thinks I have no eyes for these, and vexes me for reason why. Not yesterday I learned to know the love of bare November days before the coming of the snow, but it were vain to tell her so, and they are better for her praise. Hello and welcome to the Island Lamb. I'm Diane and this is episode 45, November Knits and Perseverance. Well, I hope you enjoyed that intro. I know that was a little different for me, but I have people in my life who love this time of year and people in my life who dread this time of year. And it got me thinking about November and October, and also, you know, it was the month of the election, and for those of you who are in the United States and those of you in other countries, and I know I have a lot of viewers from outside of the country, and I'm sure you've been watching and listening and hearing all of the information that's been coming forward. And what I want to say about all of that is, whether you're elated or whether you're depleted, it took a lot out of all of us to get to this point. And so I think that my poem, which by the way was by Robert Frost, that's Robert Frost, and the poem is called November. I think it just sort of summed up how I'm feeling. You know, this time of year we're seeing the leaves have fallen from the trees are bare, the grass is dying, we are going into hibernation periods. It's darker. We've set our clocks back in the United States. And I know in some parts of Europe you do that as well. So you know that feeling. It's dark at 4:30. And so, you know, these changes in the seasons, these changes in our bodies, these changes in life mark beginnings and endings. And I am spending this time in November and going into the winter, taking care of myself, my husband, my family, my home, my heart, and trying to learn some new things and persevere through some things that have been giving me some trouble. So I want to read you another little, it's not a poem, it's a quote. And this quote is from Henry Ford, the Ford car. And he has quite a story, and I'll put a little bit in the show notes. But this is his quote: "Whether you think you can or you can't, you're right." And I've had this little paperweight with me for, 40 years. I don't really remember where I got it, and I kept it on my desk at work, all the different companies I've worked for. And then when we moved to Block Island and we started our own business, I kept it on my desk as a paperweight, and now it sits up here in my studio. And I don't always notice it, but when I was working through, and I'm going to get to it in a minute, the Daydreamer, and also digesting the election, and also thinking about November, it came in really handy. So we can look at things in two ways, right? Either we can just say, oh, I can't do it, I just can't do it. And sometimes we truly can't do it, and we shouldn't. We should stop, give ourselves some time, try not to think. I find sometimes if I meditate, I have some clarity, and I may come up with a solution, or I may just come up with a way of coping. Or sometimes I say to myself, Diane, you're a bright, intelligent woman. You can find a way through this. So that's what I did with the Daydreamer. So this is the Andrea Mowry vneck pullover by Andrea Mowry. And if you recall, in the last episode, I was showing you this beautiful, beautiful yarn. And this is the labienaimee. This is the cashmere merino. It is 75% merino, 15% cashmere. There is some nylon in here. And this is the beautiful mohair silk. And, you know, you see, I just love these colors. I brought out some of my green for the holidays, and this color makes me so happy. And I was excited to get started on this project, and I got started with the rib, and I worked my way through the rib, which is a split. I'll take this off the mannequin at some point. It's a split hem, and the back, and I have it pinned, so the back is 1.5 inches longer than the front, and then you put it in the round. And what I was having trouble with is caused by dyslexia. And I did do a little research because I was not technically diagnosed. I was self-diagnosed. And I didn't really realize I had it until probably until college. I was always a great reader. Even as a child, I was a member of the Reader's Digest Young Readers. So I would get a book, you know, every month. And I could just sit and read the back of a cereal box while I was eating cereal, the back of anything. I just loved to read. So it didn't manifest there. Where it began to manifest is when I got into the maths, and especially maths that required totaling columns. And I took some accounting classes, and that's when it really, I couldn't get a column to balance for the life of me. And my dad was like, oh, I have some tips that might help you. If you divide your total by 9, if it's divisible by 9, there's a chance that you may have transposed a number. And then I started to realize, well, I was transposing more than just a number. I was doing it with phone numbers. I could not remember somebody's address. I couldn't remember a phone number. I could say a number to you now, and in 5 minutes, I couldn't say it again. Even if I had, you know, it was a number that pertained to me. I just couldn't get the numbers out. And so, you know, I've learned some little tips and tricks. Another way it manifested is in opposites. So if it's hot out, I may say I'm cold, and I mean I'm hot. And so when I got to this pattern, it really, it started to bother me. It was the lefts and rights. And I have made the honeycomb pattern many times. I made it in that beautiful fisherman knit sweater, which I'm going to talk about a little later. If you've made the honeycomb sweater, you know you're basically creating a honeycomb. So on one row, you're moving 2 stitches to the right and two stitches to the left. You're doing a right cross and a left cross. And then on the next row, if you're in the round, you're just knitting. If you're in the flat, you're purling. And then on the third row, you're closing it. So if you went right, you're going left. If you went left, you're going right, and you're creating the honeycomb. And I have made honeycomb, and actually I will show you. So here's my fisherman knit. And I just knitted another one of these for my sister-in-law this year. So when I saw the pattern and I saw honeycomb, I was like, I'll be fine with that. It didn't even occur to me I'd have a problem with that. And then the pattern itself is quite simple, and it only occurs, you know, every so often, and it's these little traveling stitches, which is a knit and a purl stitch, and they're going to the left, and then they're going to the right, and they're going to the left, and they're going to the right. I think it was the combination of having 28 stitches and another 28 stitches, so 56 stitches all in honeycomb. And I couldn't make sense of, and you know I love a chart, I couldn't make sense of the chart, the key, the symbols in the chart, the key, and the description. And I don't use a cable needle unless I'm on a very, like maybe 10 stitches or a 12 stitch cable. And even sometimes I won't use a cable needle. I'm pretty comfortable moving the stitches back and forth. So the definitions of the symbols in the key on 3 different pages, I couldn't get it. So I put it down. I thought about frogging it. I told you that. I thought about frogging it. And then one morning, I just got up early. I turned on the bright lights in the house. I sat down and I looked at the pattern. I said, why am I having a problem with this? And I said, yeah, I get it. I get what's happening. I'm trying to read directions. I'm trying to look at the symbol, and I'm trying to absorb the chart. I put away the directions. I put away the symbol, and I just looked at the chart. And if I'm going right, I'm going right. If I'm going left, I'm going left. And I just had to keep doing that. If I'm going right, I'm going right. I'm moving the stitch right. And I know a lot of you helped me with a little rhyme. if you're making one left, making one right. But see, that wasn't going to help me in this situation because I already knew how to make a right cross. I already knew how to make a left cross. It wasn't that I didn't know how to do it. I couldn't digest all the information around it. So I had to let myself just do what was instinctively right for me. Make the right cross. Make sure it's going right. Make a left cross, make sure it's going left. Not get bogged down in the description of what and how to do a right cross because I wasn't using a cable needle and that was adding to the problem too. So what can I say about the pattern? The pattern is, I'm enjoying it and it's very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to take it off. Okay, so here we go. We have it off the mannequin. Now, look at the way that silk mohair is just glistening throughout the stitches. And these shifts in color are not due to skein changes. Excuse me, I didn't really change. I think I changed onto a second ball right around here. So this is all one skein of the silk mohair and one skein of the cashmerino. So basically, you're starting with this rib and you can see it's not just a 1x1 or a 2x2. Sometimes it's a 2x2, sometimes it's a 1x1. It's kind of dainty, I think. And again, the back is longer than the front, so you actually start with the back and you work your way up and then you start with the back. You start with the back and then you start with the front and eventually you put it all on one round needle, and that's where we are here. And then you've got all that honeycomb, your bobble pattern, honeycomb, bobble pattern, honeycomb, bobble pattern. And here's where I'm at now. So this is very interesting. You work up the right shoulder or the right front to a certain point and you're gonna bind off and you're gonna continue working this strip to the middle of the back and then work up the other side and do the same thing. And eventually there's gonna be a piece that's going to come down here that's going to have the bobbles on it, and then you'll make the sleeve. But before I have to do any of that, I just have to get this side to look like this side, and then I'm going to pick up the stitches and I'm just going to knit along on the back until I reach a certain point, and then I'll get to that next phase. Sometimes I find if I go too far ahead, then I get too much in my head as well. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm so glad I persevered. Once I made the decision that I could do it, I could do it. And that's what I'm trying to say about it. If you say you can, you can. If you say you can't, you're right. So I'll keep you updated with my progress. I really hope I have this for the holidays. I don't know if I'll have it for Thanksgiving, but I can certainly see myself wearing this for Christmas. And yes, you know, with my nice white dressy slacks, my winter white slacks, maybe a little lacy tank underneath it. I don't know. Some pretty sparkly jewelry maybe. I'm romanticizing wearing this sweater, sitting by the Christmas tree. Okay, so that's where we are with that. Okay, what am I wearing? You've seen this before, and you saw this in episode, well, I'll get back to that in a second. Episode 9. So it was when I really first started podcasting. And hey, it's been 2 years since I've been doing this, which I just can't believe. But anyway, it was episode 9. And this is the Peppercorn pullover. I bought this as a kit through Webs. The designer is Julie Turgeman. I like to call this my Thanksgiving Day sweater because it reminds me of Thanksgiving. And it's got that beautiful green, kind of a mustardy color, some cranberry, and I'll stand up so you can see the bottom of it. It's very comfortable. It's got that neckline I like. You could get a blouse underneath here, and I have worn it with a turtleneck. It did come in a 3/4, and so I went with that. I enjoyed this pattern so much that I made it in another set of colors that I hand chose myself. I'm wearing this today because I'm honoring my joyful anticipation, because if you recall, I am going to see and take a class with my cousin in Barrington at her local yarn shop, The Stitch Source, and it's Gundra Johnston. And Gundra Johnston is from the Shetland Islands, and she's moved to Massachusetts, and she's going to be doing some classes on Fair Isle, and she's going to have the Jameson and West yarns. And so I'm thinking about that. It's November. We're moving into, you know, the holiday season. So I just had to wear the sweater. Shout out to Gundred and to the Stitch Source in Barrington. I'm so excited. And I found out that one of my viewers is going as well. And I can't wait to meet her. So a lot of pleasurable anticipation there. All right. Where am I with the Daydreamer? Okay. So I'm not the Daydreamer. Where am I with the book club cardie? So that was another little dilemma that I had. So if you recall, the book club cardie is a Inga Semenson design. It's just gorgeous. Some seed stitch, beautiful cable diamond pattern, some cables. Just thoroughly enjoying this knit. I made it longer. I made it a little more streamlined. I put in my marker for the pockets, and because I made it longer, I'm thinking I probably should have dropped the opening for my pocket down. So I've set that aside because I was focusing mostly on the Daydreamer, but a lot of you had some really great ideas of how to, you know, how to deal with that pocket. And so here's what I'm going to do. I have to finish binding off, put on the band, the button band, block it, try it on, see how I feel about the fit, see where that pocket is. If it's up too high, I'm going to lower it if I'm okay with it, because I'm not going to use it as a real pocket. It's fairly narrow, and I plan on making it kind of shallow so it's not too bulky. I may just leave it alone. If it's too high and it's bothering me, one of my viewers suggested that I open up that area, Kitchener those stitches, so I could take out those rib stitches. It's a 2x2 rib. I could take those out, work the pattern, and Kitchener that closed. Then I could come down a little further if I still want to stay with the pocket, and I could run 2 needles like you would almost do, like if you're doing, you know how some people are making the heels of their socks. They put a needle and they put a needle and then they cut. So I have some ideas, and we're just gonna see. I'm still kind of holding out for the fact that maybe I'll be okay with it the way it is. All right, so what else did I want to tell you about? Let's see. Oh, a wonderful story, full circle. Okay, so you remember I was knitting my sister-in-law the fisherman knit sweater like mine. This is that gorgeous Candide Aran sweater. This is mine. I made one for my sister-in-law in a gorgeous green, beautiful, beautiful pattern, old pattern. And my pattern was so frail that when some of you asked me for a copy of the pattern, I was worried. I was worried that I wouldn't even be able to scan it or copy it without it falling apart. And then a viewer by the name of Meg and her friend who used to own a yarn shop went out into her friend's shed where she kept all of her patterns and supplies from her yarn shop and located the original pattern and sent it to me, okay? And I have since taken copies of every page, and I have put it in the show notes of that episode, and I'm gonna note that here. Okay, so let's fast forward. So now I got a message on my Ravelry account from Brenda, and Brenda found out about Loose Ends, which is an organization that matches knitters with projects that have been left unfinished by their loved ones who have passed away. And so Brenda decided to sign up and take on a project. And so she received the project, the pattern, and it's frail, and she's afraid some of the pages are missing, and she reached out to me and she asked me if I could send her the pattern. And also she let me know that the woman who passed away had made this for several of her family members, and it's her daughter who wants this one finished. So I've had this pattern for 40 years. I've knit this for myself. I've sold this pattern. I've knit it for my sister-in-law. Meg and her friend sent me this. And now here we have Brenda keeping it going, keeping the story going. So I have sent her a copy of this. And again, if you're interested in making this beautiful pattern, it's in a cardigan and a pullover. And I do believe that the sizes go from size 12 to 44, so you can make it a men's or a women's. And I'll let you know what episode it's in. And I love the story. I love the backstory. And Brenda, I wish you the best making this. And if you have any problems or you need any help, just let me know. Okay. Acts of kindness, right? Okay, so I think that I have covered everything I wanted to cover today. I am I'm quite excited about what we have on our calendar for the next couple of weeks. My husband's birthday was at the beginning of the month, and he wants to go to Providence to our Performing Arts Center to see the production of Mamma Mia. And his sister's birthday is around the same time, and our best friend's birthday is around the same time. So we've invited our friends and our family to join us. We're going to have a wonderful dinner in Providence up on the hill, which is where all the great Italian restaurants are. And then we're going to go see the play. And then the next day, my husband's going to drop me off in Barrington, and I'm going to stay with my cousin, and we're going to go to those wonderful classes put on by Stitch Source with Gundra Johnston. And then I'm hoping maybe I'll swing by and see my mom. And Thanksgiving is still out there for us too. You know, I don't know if you celebrate Thanksgiving, but it'll be a meaningful one this year as well. We'll be at my mom's. My mom used to go to Florida to be with her brother, my uncle, who we lost this year. So we're all going to gather at my mom's house and enjoy Thanksgiving with her. We'll come back to the island for the Christmas stroll. So I'll keep you posted on all those things as they occur. And I hope you're taking care of yourself and persevering through the things that you can. And I wish you peace, love, and joy.